Trump's big ashy ass bill has been passed. And I just want to say, before y'all start with the kumbaya, this is not the time to point fingers, we need to all come together, that's not going to happen. I'm pointing fingers. I don't know what y'all going to do, but I'm pointing fingers because there are specific people who are responsible for this. To all the people that rallied behind Trump during this election blindly because of their overwhelming support for all of the isms, misogyny, bigotry, and all of those things, you are to blame. You're to blame. You're going to be the reason that millions of Americans no longer have access to health care or food. To all the people who voted for him because you thought he was talking to you when he said that there would be financial gain, but you're now realizing that he's actually talking about the people who are already rich, absent of the color of your skin, you are to blame. To all the people who refused to vote for Kamala Harris because she was a black woman, and let's call a spade, and you could not see a black woman or a woman at that running the country, you are to blame. To all the people who thought they were standing on business or trying to be divisive by convincing people not to vote for Kamala Harris because you believe she supports genocide abroad, but you did not think about what would actually happen inside the country that you currently live in, where plenty of marginalized people are being hurt, are not eating, and are missing out on healthcare every day, you are to blame. Now there are millions of people in our country with disabilities and who identify as senior citizens who will no longer have access to the care they need to simply live or to simply eat. And the rich will be getting tax breaks that are unbelievable for absolutely no reason at all. Tax breaks on taxes that they can afford to pay and are choosing not to because they want to preserve their wealth and watch the poor suffer. The truth is that y'all will let racism and misogyny prevail every time, because that's more important to you than the lives of the most vulnerable people in our country.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Reports, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. Let's get into it.
So Trump's big beautiful bill has passed. So what does this mean for us healthcare workers, especially us working in the hospital? Less staff, overworked, and underpaid. Let me break it down. Millions will be cut from Medicaid. Patients in and out of hospitals rely on Medicaid. Hospitals are obligated to still treat these patients, insured or not. Hospitals not getting paid. And if a hospital's not getting paid, hospitals definitely shutting down. This will directly affect the underserved communities and hospitals. So less hospitals in the community is available trying to treat an already growing population. Our hospital is already packed as it is. Packed! So now there's going to be a delay in care, which essentially means sicker patients, placing more stress on healthcare workers. I don't know. This is the perfect time to step away from bedside, because if we're already overworked and understaffed as it is, it's going to get worse. And y'all not about to stress my ass out. Shit.
A couple weeks ago, I made a video addressing the people that like to call themselves ex-MAGA, claiming and stating that in my eyes, you will never be ex-MAGA. You will never be ex-MAGA. Why? Because your vote back in November is something that I'm still dealing with today. I'm still dealing with that bullshit in today's time. It's because of your vote that Donald Trump was able to sign that big, beautiful bill of bullshit into law today. Remember, you voted for Donald Trump because you wanted to make sure that he got rid of Obamacare. You wanted to make sure that he got rid of Obamacare because you wanted to make sure that black and brown people here in America had no access to health coverage, right? You just didn't know that Obamacare and Medicaid was the same thing. So you successfully got what you wanted. Now, because of your vote, 11.8 million Americans will be left without health coverage for the next 10 years. And you want to know why 11.8 million Americans will not have health insurance for the next fucking 10 years? Because that money is going towards funding this fucking bill. This bill that's still going to put the nation in a federal deficit of $3.4 trillion. So for all of you motherfuckers who went and voted for him stating that he was going to make America great again, where the fuck is the great? Where is it? Where is it? And I'm reading this directly from my laptop on CBS News. So this legislation includes more than $46.5 billion for a border wall construction. Are y'all dead ass? So $45 billion to expand detention capacities for immigrants in custody, $30 billion for funding of hiring and training and other resources for U.S. immigration and custom enforcement, but also includes a minimum of a $100 fee for those seeking asylum. Okay. Not to mention, majority of the tax cuts, majority of the tax deductions that are mentioned in this bill only benefit the rich. It only benefits the rich. You and I are not going to benefit from it. But y'all really voted for him. Y'all really voted for this man. Out of pure racism. Out of pure racism. You was hoping that everything that he was doing, it was only going to attack me. And the people who look like me. But he's coming after us all. He's coming after us all. Whoever doesn't have the money, have the means, that's who's getting hit.
Agree with putting a cap on student loans because medical school is way too expensive. That's not how this works. The cost of medical school is not going to go down just because they put a cap on student loans. You know what's going to happen? Medical students aren't going to be able to take out student loans in order to go to medical school. We're going to have way less doctors because people aren't going to medical school because they can't afford it. And that's going to lead to a rise in the physician shortage that we already have. Entertain you guys' silly thought process for 5 quick seconds. Say, sure, it might lead to a decrease in the cost of medical school. When? Oh, zoom out. Look at the big picture. When? At these effects that are going into play in 2026, medical schools are going to say, oh, let's drop the cost. No, that's not going to happen. What is the people that can't afford to go to medical school, and I know there are people who go to medical school with zero debt because their parents can afford to pay for it. Those people will be front and center to go to medical school, while people like myself who can't afford it and who had to take out loans will be left behind trying to figure out how to make this work. Be enough people that are going to be discouraged and won't be able to go. You guys are silly. You guys make excuses for every single thing. This is a stupid bill. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. It's dumb. Whoever came up with this has no sense.
When the news broke that the big beautiful bill had finally passed, it was a celebration that followed. It was outrage, especially from Black Americans. To many, the bill was anything but beautiful. It was a slap in the face, a cruel reminder of how far removed policymakers are from the realities on the ground. What was touted as a reform quickly exposed itself as a calculated attack on working-class communities. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. Let's watch a few more reactions and I'll come back with my final commentary.
The bill passed. So I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound cruel, but psychologically, there's a reason behind this. If you have MAGA family members who still up until this point supported Trump or are MAGA, and they are affected by the immediate cuts or the cuts that are coming after 2026, do not help them. If that means that they will die without their medication or chemotherapy or anything like that, you let them die. You let them die. You don't give to any GoFundMes. I don't care if it's your MAGA sister and she needs treatment for her child. You're going to have to step away. You have to allow her to feel the weight of what she did, because she doesn't care about those brown kids. She didn't care about those brown kids. So what makes you think like it matters? It doesn't matter until it's her. She only cares about her white self. That's crazy. That's cruel. And you have to let cruel people feel the weight of their decisions. So let's center ourselves. Let's calm down and let's start getting to work. What I am saying is that it's just time to get to work. All that bullshit and all that yapping that the leftists were doing about mutual aid and blah, blah, blah. It's time for the rest of us who have common sense and understand how to put things into practice to start to get to work and do the practice. It's time to roll up our sleeves and help those who did not want this and triage for those who didn't want this. The people who chose not to vote or to vote that third party or to sit on here and spout Marxist bullshit and Leninist bullshit, or who was just go MAGA and Donald Trump is my daddy. Those people, hey, let God deal with it. You cannot be their savior. You are not their Christ. Let it go.
The bill, pushed through a Republican-controlled Congress, came wrapped in polished language about efficiency, freedom, and choice. But beneath the surface was a brutal dismantling of a system already hanging by a thread. Hospitals are set to close in underserved areas. Elderly patients, many of whom rely on state-supported programs, will lose access to affordable and consistent care. And for the healthcare workers, this bill spells disaster. Fewer staff, longer shifts, stagnant wages, and no relief in sight. The outrage did come from nowhere. Black Americans have always carried a disproportionate share of the burden in America's healthcare industry, from working as nurses, aides, and home health professionals to being chronically underserved as patients themselves. They know the system inside out. They also know when they're being used and discarded. Under this new bill, hospitals and clinics will be forced to operate with skeleton crews. That's not efficiency, that's a collapse. Many already work 12-hour shifts, sometimes 6 days a week, just to make ends meet. They've sacrificed their own health, their family time, and their mental well-being to care for a nation that barely sees them. And now, instead of investment or relief, they're being told to do even more, with less. And what makes this even worse? Tax breaks for the rich were baked right into the bill. The same lawmakers who say there's no money to keep rural hospitals open had no problem cutting checks for billionaires and giant corporations. Once again, the rich get richer. Elderly are among the most affected. For many Black families, grandparents are the backbone of the household. They provide stability, wisdom, childcare, and emotional strength. Now, thanks to this bill, many will lose access to in-home nursing, subsidized prescriptions, or regular checkups. That means more burden shifts to the families, often to young adults who are already struggling to survive. And it's not just about race, it's about class too. Working-class Americans of all backgrounds will suffer under this legislation, but for Black Americans who already sit at the intersection of racial and economic inequality, the heat will be twice as hard and 10 times as fast. The big beautiful bill is beautiful for the wealthy, no doubt, but for everyone else, especially the Black community, ugly, cruel, and deeply dangerous. It's proof that in the eyes of many in power, profit will always come before people. It's a clear message. If you're not rich, your health doesn't matter. So what do you all think? What do you think about the big beautiful bill? Is it really about reform or just another attack on the working class? How do you think this will impact the healthcare system in your community? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video about Black Americans boycotting the 4th of July celebrations. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.